at the University of Ghent and the co-founder of Advanced Healthcare. Every day, Koen is sharing curiosity, scouting and evaluating new technologies, biological findings, and designing ideas and business models for their applicability in making healthcare better. Today, he will share with us why healthcare will become the most exciting place to be. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Koen Kas.
Good afternoon. What if I would try to sell you a watch which tells you the number of days you still have to live? I don't think you would be very, very interested in that kind of watch. But imagine, I would be able to sell you this watch, if you can go back one slide, please. A watch where you can stop the time, basically by measuring something from yourself and stopping the number or even increase the number by changing something in your environment, in your lifestyle, based on what you do. And I think you would be on. Because the point I want to make is that we're all going to die, which is fantastic, because that makes you strive for something. But the day before we die, we would love to still being healthy. And that's what we're going to aim to do. Aging healthy, the topic of today. Now, if we would manage to do that, we could go back to something where we have been in the very old past, in some parts of China, where doctors were paid as long as people in the village remained healthy. And once you got sick, you no longer had to pay. How cool was that? What if we could go back to that time? Now, to be honest, we have lost that big time, completely. And I couldn't explain it better than Molière once did. Molière said, well, doctors, they use drugs they hardly know anything about. They buy them from you. To cure disease, they know even less. Impatience, they know nothing about. Because with all due respect, your doctor knows nothing about you. Let me try to illustrate. If I send a package from here in Prague to Barcelona, I go to a FedEx or UPS website and I can trace the package from A to Z. And I find that normal. The average chronic patient, cardiovascular, diabetes, Alzheimer patient, is 8,700 hours by himself or herself. That's not normal. A FedEx package is better off than me as a patient. And that is what we're going to change by introducing 3 guardian angels. The first one, your biology. The second one, a large number of sensors, visible, invisible sensors, to measure things for myself. And we're going to link them to the new generation of the Internet of Things. Now, to do that, I have to show you this picture. You've seen that. This is the mainframe computer 50 years ago. Basically required this stage. And every single calculation had to pass via a guy, sorry ladies, always a guy, sitting in front of the mainframe, which at the point that the personal computer came to the market said, well, that's a joke. A personal computer, not accurate, not powerful, just good enough to play with. But if that happens, if something which is out of reach for a consumer, because way too complex, way too expensive, way too whatever, becomes accessible for a consumer, to flip coins. And all of a sudden, I'm able to argue that this is your hospital, this is your doctor. This is, and you know what came after? This is the future of healthcare. Mobile health, which using digital tools, IT tools, is going to help us to go back to where we have been in China. To keep us healthy, and to turn sick care around to healthcare. Okay. Did you ever see the picture at the left? It's a hard disk, IBM, 1954. Required a plane to get transported. In your smartphone, the hard disk is 1,000,000 times faster, cheaper, whatever. And nevertheless, this is not the fastest technological development we've ever seen. The fastest technological development we've ever seen on the planet is our ability to identify the 3 million digits which make us unique, our genome, our biological code, very soon with something smaller than a smartphone, with that device. Basically, a single piece of software and hardware which you plug into my computer and based on a 3 hours analysis can analyze my genome at home. So imagine that we're going to start using these things. You understand that what the state of Hawaii recently did becomes an interesting one. The state of Hawaii suits two of your pharma colleagues because they bring a drug to the market in Hawaii the very same way as in the rest of North America. But people in Hawaii are derived from Southeast Asia. They have 3 digits in their genome which metabolizes this given drug, a blood thinner, much faster. So the people in Hawaii wanted the pharma company to adapt the prescription based on their biology. What if your patient starts to require the same? That based on his biology, you change his drug. How to solve it? Well, this is one of the solutions. This is the first FDA-approved drug, which is a piece of software, which you send to my computer, which allows me to print my drug at home. And I simply adapt the concentration based on my biological profile. Science fiction? No. Approved a few months ago. Currently we are building printers which do not contain color cartridges, which do contain drug chemistry cartridges. So I can print all my drugs really in the pharmacy or even closer to where I need it. But that's still sick here. Because if we start to manage to understand disease, something like what happened last year in Belgium. We lost 2 famous young football players. 21 years old, they fell dead while playing football or soccer on the field. In my mind, that's crazy. Because we know the genes which do predispose to do that, to that happening. Yeah? So once we know these things, basically from birth, we could implant simply a defibrillator, which, if my heart stops working, switches on and life goes on. What do you think the difference in cost is between me being dead and me being alive? By a simple technological solution. And that is why you have to pay attention for something like this. This is the first casket, hard case around my smartphone, which allows me to put my fingers 10 seconds on it, calculates my complete heart function, stores it in the cloud, and if it's off baseline, my nurse, my doctor calls me and says, Koen, you had an appointment for the 1st of December. We're not going to wait till the 1st of December. Please come and see me tomorrow. I'm going to tweak something. How cool is that? So I would like my cardiologist, who's absolutely unaware, by the way, that this is existing, that you, as MSD, tell them, well, look guys, please provide that to your patients, because that helps us to provide better service. And that is why you have to pay attention to these kind of gadgets. Really, gadgets like the one you see on the next slide, the one here, oops, I'm going too fast, like the one here. Gadgets which do count a number of very, very basic functions of my performance, of my life, like steps, like heart rate, like sleep, like oxygenation level, like whatever you can think of can be measured from a patient, but in a way that is consumer-based. And I rather have access to hundreds of measuring points along my year than having just one single measurement which tells me nothing. And for that reason, connected healthcare, where people start to have access to consumer gadgets to measure themselves, will be a big part of predictive and preventive healthcare. And bear with me, people start to do the following. People start to combine things they do in their social life with the first experiments where they combine social life with genomic backgrounds. So imagine the amount of data you are able to start mining by looking into these and starting to see connections in 2 directions. If I find out that I do have a mutation in gene X, well, I will reach out on a website, hopefully to find you, where you can provide me a drug to treat, but maybe even better, a drug or an experience to deal with my disease beyond the pill, to give me the highest form of patient delight. That is the empathy that someone cares for me when something goes wrong. Now I hear you thinking, well, genome's far away from our comfort zone. But health is a combination of your genome, your environment, and your lifestyle. And if we don't play with genomes, I think you agree that playing with something which measures something for myself is more acceptable. Yeah? For the women here, who might say, well, I'm never ever going to wear something around my wrist that ugly, this Swarovski, a crystal from Swarovski, measures 6 out of 7 of these parameters. 60. Nice. How cool is that? And it's especially cool when we found out, only last year, that motivating people to do an extra few thousand steps in a single day allows me to increase the metabolism of whatever drug I take and helps me to benefit from our drug much bigger. That is why currently 40 of these simple devices are in clinical trials to combine the outcome of your drug with the outcome of something I do in my daily life. Now, that's simple, you might say. All simple. Well, the next 2 years, you're going to see these devices coming to market. Every single measurement my doctor performs in his office, you will be able to do yourself at home with a smartphone or something linked to your smartphone. Since yesterday, we can do the echo, the ultrasound as well. The picture here in the middle. And this way, we will be able to start understanding disease. Based on big data mining, we will see why I get migraine, why I had a headache. I always get a headache when I come back from London, sleep later than 9 o'clock on Saturday, drink more than 2 liters of coffee on Monday, and do less than 3,000 steps on Tuesday. That delight is only applicable coming from devices like these, like I just showed you. And that is where a patient wants to have access to. Instant gratification. He or she always wants to have this kind of insight. Like I can call my nurse with Uber, I can call my doctor and interfere with him with my smartphone. And even if I don't have a smartphone, I have a company like PillPack, which comes to me at home, delivers my drugs, basically at 8 o'clock in the morning in a package, at 3 in the afternoon in a package, and at 6 in the evening in a package. It's delight. It comes to me. I don't even have to think of doing something. And that's why I think that your next generation of drugs will have hand in hand with tools, open source tools, from Google Alphabet Study Kit to be launched soon, or Apple Care Kit, where you build something with existing tools and provide me all the exchange possibilities with my lifestyle and environment to help me better, to get me adhered, to teach me, and to understand why I do interact with your drugs or I do not do. Or this one, the first apps which link performance to outcome. This is an app where I get the drug to measure lung function. I breathe in the app, and the amount of lung function improvement is measured on fly and sent back to you as a healthcare provider. But apps are pretty 2016. Rest with me that we're going to do different ways of. We're going to be able to talk with our environment. Amazon has a pretty nice tool. It's kind of a loudspeaker, which you see at the left, which stands in my room, where I can ask, well, can you remind me, how do I take this drug? Can you remind me to bring me to the hospital? Can you remind me what's next? And it goes into do actions. By the way, this is Molly, my virtual nurse. She is there, and I'm willing to listen to her. Only to her? Maybe it's my car which is doing it. 4 of the biggest car manufacturers built interfaces in the cockpit. I'm sitting 2 hours in my car. Well, I was pretty stressed to come here. The car told me, Koen, relax, take a breath, and move on. Yeah? Or this one. This is pretty cool when we do in collaboration with a Japanese company. When we get old, we start to tend to forget to drink. Hard to imagine for you, but once we get old, we forget these things. So you can give people a patch which sits on the skin, which measures dehydration. Good? No, not good enough. Because if I'm too old to remember to drink, well, I will not understand what the patch does. But being 80 years old, I sit in my service flat, watch quite a bit of TV. And you hear me coming. My patch is linked to the internet to my TV. And every 2 hours, my TV tells me, Koen, go drinking. And that is what I meant. Or this one. This is a small bottle which stands on my table in my room. And we could develop screw caps on it, 3D printed. And every time I have to drink, oops, a flag comes out. I know what to do. So, linking technology to my biology allows me to change behavior. And that is what we're going to do. And that is what people are going to mention on social websites. The biggest amount of insight in drug actions cannot be found at the FDA. Can be found on this website, Yodin, where people mention what worked, what didn't. Where people say, well, if I took this MSD drug and I did something on top, it worked out. Big time, big fine. And I hear you thinking, well, oops, that's scary, because that's a big thing about data and dealing with data. How are we going to do that? Well, who has been to Disneyland recently in the States? Before you go to Disneyland, you get a box at home with magic bands. Your name, your partner's name, and the name of your kids. And you enter the park, and you don't have to pay, because you pass with a simple sensor in it, and you get in. That's a product. Good. But you know what I hate when I go to Disneyland? That's standing 45 minutes in line with my children. Not nice. But 5 minutes to 3, this band tell me, Koen, there is no traffic jam in front of Space Mountain if you leave now. How cool is that? All of a sudden, the band provides me a service. But you know why we went to Disneyland? Because it was my wife's birthday. And we enter Disneyland and she gets flowers. Is Disneyland selling flowers? No way. Do they have a deal with a third party selling flowers? Big time. If you can make out of your drug a service and next to that experience, that is what your patients will be paying for. A patient will love to have delight, outcome delight. And that is how healthcare could look like. My doctor, which tells me, please remind taking that cream, but even better, you've been walking with your dog somewhere in the field where flowers are blossoming you're allergic to. The skin of your dog is full of these seeds. Wash your dog. How cool would that be? My doctor becomes my coach, always on to predict disease. And that's the summary. Where I cannot advise better than hiring a movie, Big Hero 6. Big Hero 6 is about 5 friends which learn to have a sixth friend, a big marshmallow inflatable computer, Dr. Baymax, which basically follows the logic I tried to present. We're going to combine biology with sensors and with the Internet of Things, which will generate big data. Big data will make machines more intelligent. Machines will steer devices, my TV, and change my behavior. And that will help me to go back where I have been in China. And I realize I'm running over time, but bear with me one example. This is the first evidence that someone diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2009, this line, completely changed his handwriting 5 years in advance. I would like MSD to pick that up. And then maybe you can cure me at that point in time, but maybe you can tell me and provide me the motivation to learn an extra bank account by heart, to do some extra sudokus, to basically expel the disease from being manifesting, and basically provide me more than just the drug you currently provide. And this way, I'm going to end with one question. What if one of these 5 big companies sent you an invite to come and join them? Well, I would simply put that kind of invite next to you. Because Merck and Pro Extension Healthcare is the only domain where combining the tools and services from companies like Amazon and Facebook and Google, you can combine in one offer the experience which I need, maybe as a patient, but before I'm even getting a patient, to give me the future of healthy aging. And with that, I would like to thank you.